very important to figure out when it's appropriate to resist the change and when not.
If it's change in your, employment or a change at work or change in the family, you need to trust that other people around you are going to support you.
If there's a lot going on in your life, a lot of change constantly and a lot of different things, and you feel that overwhelmed, then there's also time to evaluate, hey, maybe not too much more change right now because I'm currently overloaded. Maybe certain things need to stay currently the same, but being aware of when to explore again.
Right.
All right, we're going to start talking about a really cool topic today because change is everywhere around us. It's happening, and we can't just always resist it. Because if we're resisting it, there's short-term and long-term consequences. And we're going to talk about resisting change today. And oftentimes, myself included, my clients, myself included, don't even realize we're resisting the change. And it shows up in the funniest little things. And we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about a little bit more the science background as well as strategies on how to move forward. Because if you're completely resisting it, it's really going to take a toll on your health and your productivity. And again, has all kinds of other consequences. So let's dive in.
Yay.
Hey, I'm Heike Fallon. I'm a personal high performance coach, and I coach my clients on their self-leadership to really up their health and their personal performance so they can show up as better leaders for others around them.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Shannon Passalacqua. I'm a high performance coach, and I specialize in helping women heal after miscarriages and help them find strategies to get through that. And some of us do a change.
Yeah. Change.
Yeah.
Change. Everybody's affected. Everybody who has a brain and is a human being is
The funny thing is I always joke that I hate change. Like, so everyone knows out there, I am a 49er fan. I am also older, and I am still grieving the loss of Joe Montana as our quarterback. He was our quarterback in the 80s. Like when he retired, like I am still having a hard time changing too.
well,
We've had like 10 quarterbacks since then.
Well, I mean, there's so many things where we can kind of analyze, right, how we're resisting change. I think it's always hilarious. I've taught a lot of group classes with from Aqua to all kinds of different things and participated in classes. It's hilarious how people have their spot and there somebody new comes in or something and you want to try to stand somewhere and you basically get pushed away because people do not want the change. They need to be in their spot, the same spot that they're in every week. And same as if there's a substitute, if there's a different instructor or a different person leading an event, a lot of people have a hard time with that because it's different. And this is where it's, I think, really important to acknowledge and understand that our brain's purpose is to keep us alive. It's supposed to keep us alive, and it does it by predicting. And anything new, any change, it's hard to predict. It feels like there's so much uncertainty. It feels like it's getting out of control because we don't know what to expect, what's going to happen. Am I going to be safe even in this class, being in a different spot? Can I follow? Can I hear? And it's a natural thing that we're resisting a change because of it's uncomfortable for the moment, and it also requires so much more brain power, and the brain is so smart in figuring out on how to be more efficient, and that's why it creates the habits, right? That's why we have certain habits. Most people don't even realize anymore. They brush their teeth and they do their morning routine of things, and they don't think about each little step when they make their coffee.
Right.
Right. And so we create habits to save energy. And so any change requires more energy. And of course, who wants to spend more energy?
I'm going to jump in here.
Sure.
Because when I think about this, I think about when I was in college and, I always had the same spot that I would sit in every class because that's what you do. And I didn't, I didn't want to change. Like everyone has their spot. Everyone has like their place that they're going to sit. And then if someone messes with that, it's like, oh God, why are you in my spot? And at the same time, what I learned in my psychology classes was when you are in this, when you are in the same state, when you are learning something, when you're in the same physical state, emotional state, when you take a test, if you're in that same physical state and emotional state, you're going to have a better time retaining that information and putting it, regurgitating it for a test. So I think it's really interesting that change, resisting change, I think sometimes does serve us.
Yeah, it's yes. So, and it's very important to figure out when it's appropriate to resist the change and when not. When is it holding back from growth and learning and moving forward? And when is it maybe good, like in a test, to have the same setting so the brain doesn't waste extra energy on being in a different spot, feeling uncomfortable, so that you can put all energy into your test or performance or whatever you're doing. That's why people also have same clothes they're wearing maybe for a presentation, or they need to have their laptop and the slideshow needs to be on their laptop and not on an external other device because they're so used to it, which that is fine. That those are, but it's the awareness of knowing, okay, that's where I need the same because it makes sense to save energy. And then other times though, we want to make sure, for example, standing in a different, not when it's a test situation, but standing in a different spot in a class. You know, if you're in a yoga class, if you're standing in a different spot, it's actually good to have a different angle for your vision and of a sense of what's around you, your peripheral, because it's a different sensation. You stand on the right or the left and the back or the front. So it's actually good when you know it's the same kind of, kind of exercise or something like that, or you go to a meeting, instead of sitting always in the same spot, sit in a different spot. You might get new perspectives from just sitting in a different spot. And that's when it's really helpful for growth. And what happens really, our brain does need change in order to grow because of the
You're
what's called
making new pathways.
making new pathways, which is called neuroplasticity. So we need that in order to grow and stay healthy. And there needs to be a little bit of challenge. Now, I like also, like you said, another component too is if there's a lot going on in your life, a lot of change constantly and a lot of different things, and you feel that overwhelm, and we've talked about burnout and that kind of topic, then there's also time to evaluate, hey, maybe not too much more change right now because I'm currently overloaded to the top.
Yeah.
Maybe certain things need to stay currently the same, but being aware of when to explore again. And once you settle down, once you kind of calm down your nervous system again in order for your health to maintain your health. So it's not always about crazy going out seeking more challenge and change and being all on alert and constantly going either. So it's a fine line to figure out what works for you, and everybody's different. There's nobody's the same.
Well, it's for me, like we've been through a lot of change. I personally have been through a lot of change this year. And it's like, okay, there is an importance to some stability and having some stability, and then recognizing, okay, when can I add in more growth and more change, and which part of my life can I start doing that? But like, I think there needs to be a point where it's like, all right, things need to level off and get like some stability for a little bit of time so that you can, like you said, like you can feel safe, and then say, okay, now I'm willing to try this.
Yeah. And I think that. Yeah. And I think the key is to work on that self-awareness. So there's, to first identify, oftentimes it's fear, right? If we're looking at it, well, what am I afraid of really, right? Is there something that is it the uncertainty that I'm worried about, or oftentimes it's like we're afraid we're losing something,
Hmm.
right? There's a change and we're like, well, if this happens, maybe I don't have this anymore. And
There's a
who
fear of
knows
judgment.
yeah, and who knows if the new thing is
Yeah,
better or
it's gonna
not.
work. Yeah, yeah.
And maybe I miss whatever I've had. Is it that? And often to really go deeper and evaluate that. I think also like I mentioned before, the loss of control, that we feel like we don't have control of the situation. And um, one big thing is we usually emotionally attach to something too, to recognize, is there a specific attachment that we have because of other circumstances around it, or why don't we want to change, or why do we resist the change? Or it can be like recognizing, hey, I've had so much change going on, I'm just so overly ramped up, I need to calm down and kind of not to have too many big changes at this point. Usually, I think it shows up, definitely for myself and clients as well, is procrastination. Um,
Hmm.
kind of not participating in something, or like I said, you starting to be emotional about where your spot is in some class or meeting.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think those are things, or just in general, that feeling of a little more anxiety or overwhelm.
Yeah, putting things off, definitely avoiding them. I think that's one of the biggest things that you would see.
Yeah, to trying to just be, leave me where I'm
Hmm.
at.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so what do you think are other reasons why people are resisting change?
Other reasons besides the one I already said, I think sometimes they not aware of where their physical state is oftentimes either. So like since I in my practice also focus a lot on health and well-being, so there's a lot
Hmm.
of other physical challenges going on at the same time, and they don't, like, people don't realize that their system is already working on a threat level. Like they're already not on a neutrals kind of space.
Right.
They're already overrammed at heightened alert. And if you already add a heightened alert, you can't add
Our
more.
nervous systems can't take anymore.
No, and then if they try something, and perfect example, like back problems, right? Which can be so related to nothing structural, more
Hmm.
really psychologically, mentally connected. So oftentimes when you add big changes and more uncertainty, the system is already overramped. Adding that to it then shows up more, maybe even as like more back pain and more, or fatigue
Headaches.
and stuff like that. So I think it's also recognizing and checking in, and that's one first strategy I want to throw out here, is really checking in with yourself. Where you at? How do I feel? And why am I resisting the change? But also what else is going on? Because it's usually a bigger picture. It's not just um a one-sided thing. You can't change, like the brain and the body can't take them apart. They together.
I think there's also a sense of control.
Mm-hmm.
And, we like to control certain things. And, some people control more than others. And when they lose that sense of control, there's a lot of that would lead to fear and anxiety. Um, I just lost what I was going to say, but there was another reason.
Well, it's all
um,
interconnected, right?
right.
Essentially.
What was I going to say? I totally can't remember.
Oh, we'll come back.
It'll come back at the wrong time.
Well, first step in any case is really taking time, maybe journaling, maybe just paying more attention to how you feel in the moment. Why, like analyzing when emotions come up, why am I resisting this? Is it the fear? Is it the fear of control? Is it the fear of losing something?
That's what I was going to say.
Ah, there it is. See?
Trust.
Trust, yes.
I think
Oh, good
you
one.
have to, yeah, there's a lot that goes into that. One, you have to trust yourself
Yep.
and trust that you have the knowledge and you trust that you have what you need to make any change. Like you have to trust that you can do it. You also have to trust the people around you.
Yep.
So if it's change in your, employment or change at work or change in the family, you need to trust that other people around you are going to support you and have trust that they are going to help you through it. And if you don't have that trust, it's really hard to take that step, right? Because it's scary to take that first step. So if you don't trust that you can do it physically, emotionally, all of it, and you don't trust the environment around you, I think
That's
that's
tough.
really,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's really hard. So actually one actually I think that covers two things right there. When we resist change, we are more in a fixed mindset state. And
Mhm.
it's really about developing a more growth mindset, but it doesn't come from you just kind of thinking, I need to. Oftentimes, like you said, the support is needed, the community around you is needed. And again, it can be family, but it can also be, family groups, any community,
Coaching,
coaching, any community, any
therapist.
support that you can get can really move the needle in order to make definitely faster progress, but starting also a momentum and
Hmm.
trusting because you also getting different feedback and highlighted different perspectives. I mean, at least that's
Well,
for
and you have to know that you're safe
yep,
in case you fall.
yep,
And you have to have trust in yourself that if you do fall, you'll have the tools and everything to pick yourself back up. So I think where what you said was it starts with mindfulness and growth mindset. And so that's a journey in itself, right? Like you need to, I think, I would say a majority of people are in a fixed mindset, which it's easy.
most of
It's
the time like
really,
we're never really in one or the other. Like I can have a fixed mindset maybe in certain areas, and
mm,
other ones are really growth mindset. We're always on this continuum that kind of shifts. The key is to recognize when we more in a fixed mindset and should work on it
mhm.
for towards a more growth mindset, because we do know that a growth mindset does help for not just being more productive and getting more things done, but it also is really helping us to
It
grow
helps
as
us
a person.
adapt to anything that's thrown at us, right? Like
Exactly.
the world isn't always stable, I think, as we've learned. And so, like when COVID hit, I was deep in my growth mindset, you know, at that time in my practice. And I don't think, and we've talked about this before, I don't think I was as affected because I was able to adapt faster
Yeah.
than a lot of people who I knew who were in a very fixed mindset. And like it was really difficult for them, which is completely understandable. But I think that's where we need to start is working on our growth mindset and making that a daily practice.
Yeah. So if we keep resisting change, really one consequence too is we're not as resilient, we're not as adaptable, and we can lose that skill. It's really a skill that we're learning
Yeah, for sure.
to resist and handle anything that comes our way.
Yeah, I mean, I have not been as consistent with working on that, and I can tell, and I know that like change is a little more difficult for me now, and it used to be easier a couple of years ago when I was working on it more. So it is, being
Oh,
more
like
again
share
mindful.
how you do, because I think this is, I mean, one thing is always right, take small steps and keep it, where it's comfortable for you to grow. But for me, for example, to remind myself to look at these things, I make sure I participate, going to different conferences or summits or listening to particular speakers that I
Mhm.
enjoy listening to, and that helps me to remind myself to work on it, as well as having a coach, because then you kind of can't get around it.
Yeah, having someone to push you a little bit. I wouldn't say like you don't want someone to just throw you,
Yeah,
right?
no, it's not always the jump in the water.
Right. Sometimes, and that's the importance of finding a good coach is um, someone to just to kind of nudge you in the right way and have you like work on that is is good. Because
Yeah,
I think it also comes down to building new habits. And when you implement new habits, you don't just add every new habit that you want to implement at the same time. That's
yeah,
impossible. We're not going to be able to continue doing that. That's hard to maintain. But it's habit stacking, right?
yep.
So like for me over the last year, I've been working on um, weight training. Great. Well, I wasn't working on my like hit training or anything. So I did a year of weight training, and now I'm adding in a little bit more of hit training or whatever. Like so it's not just so I'm making small changes
Well,
and
and making changes, though, the problem is when we stay status quo at the same thing, and we think
mhm,
we've got our routine down and we're all comfortable. What, right? When you feel comfortable, this
that's when you're
is
like,
when it's really the
okay.
sign. It's like, hey, you're too comfortable, right? But
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
recognize that you're too comfortable usually helps to have some outside perspective. And I mean, I know that's why we're coaches, right? Because we help people to in this process of transition from wherever they are further forward to
Hmm.
what their goals are. And in the process, also, we do a lot because we do have the same background as far as the certification. It's all about also reframing on how we see the situation, right? Like, do we see an opportunity in the change? And what
Hmm.
could it be in the and impact my future life if I'm actually not resisting this change, but actually embracing the change? Mm, How could that possibly impact my, how my life looks in a year from now versus if I don't do this change right
Yeah.
now, where
Yeah.
am I going to be next year at this time if I
And
don't
I
make
think
it?
that's a wonderful thing to reflect on and journal on because we always have to put the word journal in there. It's like we're paid to say the word journal, except we're not
Nobody's
paid.
paying us for that one. Just such a good one. And again,
I
it doesn't have
know.
to be long for journal. I'm like the brain bullet point, brainstorm bullet point journaler.
To write down and to really reflect on what's going to happen if I don't make this change and what could happen if I do make this change.
Yep. And
And that's
oftentimes that's very telling. And
mhm,
that's when we realize, okay, it might be uncomfortable, but you know what? If I don't make a change, it's causing me way more consequences in the long run
mhm,
than, going through the uncomfortable uncertainty right now in the
right,
short term.
right. Yeah. Which one's going to hurt more?
Yeah, which one's going to hurt more? And then
Yeah.
going from there. I do think, and I want to I know, repeat it right now again, community or seeking support or having the right support is super important, because if we're not having good support, it's much harder to go through change, because we do need to have some kind of safety net. And
Hmm.
if you don't have it from your media group, there, seek out. Otherwise, like you said, have a therapist, have a coach, have a
Have a therapist and a
community.
coach.
Have a community that gives you feedback and lets you, gives you the support and trust you need in order to go through
Hmm.
whatever
Right.
change it is.
Yeah. Like, I mean, we lean on each other. Like
Yeah,
when we need a little push or someone to say like, it's okay, and you might find it in the most random areas or the most random
absolutely.
places in your life. So it's not always your partner, it's not always your family. Oftentimes it's where you least expect it, but find people who are going to support you in that journey.
Yep. Yeah, I think that really covers it very well as far as the strategies, but we do change is happening all the time, and we do need to embrace change, but also really recognize when change is needed, when change might be too much currently, and how we going to keep ourselves checking in from time to time.
Yeah.
And maintaining constantly like that reevaluation and figuring out, should I push myself again a little bit? Do I have an energy and bandwidth to push myself? And where can I push myself and how much? And explore that, and having that support moving forward is super important.
Yeah. And if you are resisting change, and I'm going to rephrase that. If you're wanting to change, but for some reason it's not happening, I would look into what's going on. There's other factors that could be playing there. It could be anxiety. Maybe you need to talk to someone about that. It could be hormones. There's so many reasons why we would want to change or why we would want to take that next step, but we're just not. And
Yeah,
so I would really look into what's going on there.
But I would 100% say you need to seek outside help. Oftentimes we won't be figuring that out on our own.
Right.
I've
Exactly.
had to do it because I knew certain things are going on. I had to reach out. And for me, it was running more blood tests and that kind of stuff, figuring out different things. So oftentimes, because we all know we should do it, but if we're really not doing it and we're not moving forward, whatever's holding you back, you need a coach, a therapist, have some other stuff analyzed, whether it be hormone changes, whatever it be. That definitely needs some outside perspective in order to move forward. Again, if you're not changing though, if you're resisting change 100%, you're
not a tree. You can move. You don't have to stay where you are. You can move.
I love that. I love that. A tree can move. Yeah, well, the tree needs to grow.
I mean, yeah, there should be roots, but you're not a tree. You can go all over.
You can go all over, and you need to start stepping a little bit out of your comfort zone and move into where you want to be in the future. With that said, fantastic. And for now, I'll say goodbye.
We'll see you later.